Khamzat Chimaev was the UFC's breakout star in 2020.
I'm coming for everybody! Kill everybody! I'm the champ! Ah!
He signed with the promotion in July and smashed 3 guys in a little over 60 days' time.
One of the most special fighters I've ever seen, if not the most special guy that I've ever come across.
He was a star unlike any UFC president Dana White and his co-moguls had ever seen. So, naturally, they started making big plans for him.
On his face, Khamzat.
Oh, man!
Shot. Look at that, though.
Another win for Khamzat Chimaev. He is a wrecking ball at welterweight as well.
Such was his hype that in only his 4th UFC fight, he secured a title eliminator against top-ranked Leon Edwards, who's now the welterweight champion, by the way. As you guys can see, the sky was truly the limit for Chimaev, but then it all came crashing down thanks to COVID. The Wolf spent the majority of 2021 in his hiding place, where he suffered every single day, went through a surgery to make breathing easy, and even contemplated retirement within the first few months of his illness. But he held through, and subsequently slowed down. Since 2020, Chimaev has only fought 4 times, averaging a fight per year. He has 2 first-round finishes and 2 super close wins against Gilbert Burns and most recently at UFC 294 against Kamaru Usman, who wasn't even supposed to fight him and only filled in for Paulo Costa, who had to pull out due to a staph infection gone bad. Costa was supposed to be Chimaev's first real test at middleweight. But worry not, the Chechen will square off against someone even more dangerous when he steps inside the cage at the UFC's debut in Saudi Arabia on June 22nd. That someone is Robert Whittaker, a former interim and undisputed UFC middleweight champion who also happens to be one of the best fighters in the world.
Robert Whittaker!
Who will come out on top when the lights shine the brightest? Let's get right into it. When Robert Whittaker lost to Dricus du Plessis at UFC 290, many fans thought it was the end of the Aussie. But guess what? Not only did he bounce back against Paulo Costa at UFC 298, but he also did so by outstriking a powerhouse of a striker in the form of Paulo Costa. So, the last we saw of Robert Whittaker was quite impressive, to say the least. The same can't be said about Khamzat Chimaev. The last we saw of Khamzat was him being attacked with Nigerian missiles thanks to Kamaru Usman, and that made many wonder, is Chimaev really as good as they say he is? If Usman could give Chimaev a run for his money on short notice, imagine what a full camp Usman would have done. Or an Usman who showed a little more urgency in the first round. Or best, an actual middleweight who packs a nasty punch and has a seriously impressive takedown defense. The guy we're talking about is no ordinary Joe. He is a former middleweight champion and arguably the most well-rounded 185-pound fighter in the world, who has beaten everyone but the former and reigning champions in Israel Adesanya and Dricus du Plessis. In a way, Whittaker suffers from the Max Holloway syndrome, where he's the best contender in the division and a perfect yardstick for any young dude wanting to make it big in the sport. The rule is simple. You beat Whittaker, you are destined for greatness. You lose to him, and you'll probably never be the same again. After all, they don't call him the Reaper for nothing. He represents death and destruction, but so does the Wolf of Chechnya, who loves to maul his prey and rip it into shreds. Chimaev's wrestling is out of this damn world. His entries are like a freight train moving at full throttle with failed brakes. Once he grabs hold of his opponent, he takes them airborne before smashing them onto the mat. He then plays with them a little, like a cat playing with a dead rat. And once he decides enough is enough, there aren't many fighters in this world who can stop him from locking in a nasty choke. But since there are levels to this game, and Whittaker will be Chimaev's first real opponent at middleweight, you never really know. The young Chechen superstar will either prove that he's who he says he is, or Whittaker will use all his experience to put him in his place. And with an 82% takedown defense, Whittaker could very well derail the biggest hype train in modern-day MMA whatsoever. Is Chimaev better than Romero and Brunson when it comes to securing takedowns and controlling people on the mat? Maybe he is. given how explosive and technically gifted he is. But that comes at a cost as well. Chimaev has never fought a 5-round fight in his life. He's had 2 3-round battles, and in both instances, he was left gasping for air in the latter part of the fight. In contrast, Whittaker has cardio for days and weeks. He is an absolute machine who can stand and trade for as long as he's conscious, and that's a big problem. If Chimaev spends a ton of energy in trying to take Whittaker down and finish him in the first round, he will have to make sure that he does finish him, because he won't like fighting the Reaper for 5 rounds. The more gassed Chimaev is, the more destructive Whittaker will be, and it could result in a vicious beatdown that might send Chimaev into a dark spot. Chimaev can strike too, but is he as technical as Whittaker? Can he match the Aussie's rhythm and movement for 5 rounds? Can he take him down and keep him there? There are so many questions that need to be answered, and man, that's why this fight is so damn interesting. Technically, Chimaev doesn't stand a chance against Whittaker in a striking battle. Whittaker will win 9 times out of 10 because he is a master manipulator on the feet. He moves really well, manages range and distance to perfection, and masterfully hides his combination and knockout blows behind his jab. Chimaev is very reckless in contrast. He swings and swings hard while pressing forward throughout, and interestingly, that's exactly how he can catch Whittaker off guard. The thing about technical strikers like Whittaker is that they rely heavily on distance management and timing to score points and win fights. They like to move in circles, but they don't like to be put on their back foot, especially when their opponent carries a serious threat of takedowns. Given Whittaker's stature and reputation as a clinical striker, not many have dared to jump in recklessly to try and attack him. Only one guy was brave enough to throw caution out of the window, and look what happened. He ended up beating the former champion, and he's now the reigning and defending champion. He is Dricus du Plessis. In life, you have to take high risks for high rewards, and Chimaev needs to do exactly that, especially when the hype and that aura of invincibility that once surrounded him has died down after razor-close fights against Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman. Those fights have made many fans believe that if that's how he performs against high-level competition, then he isn't that dominant Khabib-like fighter everyone thought he was. Make no mistake about it, Chimaev is still an excellent fighter. He's a world-class talent, in fact, but by his lofty standards, he hasn't been able to achieve much in the UFC. So, this is his chance to do it. This is his chance to prove why he's the most feared guy in the sport. This is his chance to prove that he is the uncrowned champion of the UFC middleweight division as he claims to be. And this is his opportunity to silence his critics. Will he be able to do it? That's the million-dollar question. And if I was to answer it, I'd say no. The Khamzat Chimaev hype train will be derailed by Bobby Knuckles come UFC Saudi Arabia. But I am not sure, so I'll let you guys take charge from here on. Who do you think will win the middleweight title eliminator between Khamzat Chimaev and Robert Whittaker in UFC Saudi Arabia? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. If you liked the video, please subscribe to our channel and turn on those notifications. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.